Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our new Dexter Resurrection theory discussion. This one, it's going to be really fun, guys. Like, we are going to talk about a theory here that has just blown up across the fandom over the past couple of weeks.
Absolutely. We've already talked, in another video about the New York Ripper and who it could be. And one of the prevailing theories that are out there is that it is Jonah Mitchell, who is the Trinity Killer's son. And we're here to talk about why it could be him, but also why it's not him.
Yeah, and that's the big thing where I understand, especially after this past episode, why there are a lot of people who do think that the killer is Jonah.
Yes.
Because there are some bits and pieces that do feel really, really tangible and do feel like, okay, this makes sense. But then you put those up against what I think are some very distinct bits of evidence that, okay, this is not actually where the show is going, but maybe they want you to at least be thinking this, number one, because it's fun, but number two, we've already seen how much Resurrection has really dove headfirst into the nostalgia of everything. We've seen so many familiar faces pop up, like even John Lithgow himself turned up at the start of this season.
Yeah, I mean, this show is really diving into the feels with Dexter, so it would make sense that the New York Ripper would be somebody that's connected to Dexter's past in some kind of a way, but is it too much of a coincidence?
Yeah, that's really the thing, but we've got some evidence for this theory that we will talk about, but then we're going to get into all the reasons why this theory just doesn't line up for a number of logistical and also timeline reasons.
Right.
Before we get into it, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are here multiple times a week for Dexter Resurrection, whether it is reviews, previews, theories, just like this one. We have a really, really good time coming on here and talking about Dexter with you guys, and we just don't want you to miss any of the other discussions we've got coming up.
We are also covering Alien Earth, and we have Only Murders in the Building coming up very soon here at the channel. So hit that subscribe button. And if you want to talk further with us about Dexter Resurrection, you can head over to our Patreon. I'll leave a link for you below.
Thank you guys so much for your support. Okay, we'll just start the evidence with a couple of things that have been pointed out a lot about this past episode.
Yes.
There was this discussion about the Ripper's weapon. And this is something Claudette went into at the lecture. And then Dexter sort of followed that up by talking a little bit about how the weapon may actually be a little bit more like a hook. This is important because if you go back and you watch the season 6 episode where Dexter goes to Nebraska, that is where you see at one point Jonah holding a weapon that actually seems to be almost identical to the very thing that Dexter is describing to Claudette.
Yeah, so I mean, it makes sense then that so many out there feel that this has to be Jonah. I mean, like, what are the chances that it's quite this close?
Yeah, that's really the thing. And then you're adding on top of all that, they played this voice recording, and now it's very possible, we have to keep this in mind, that this voice recording, maybe it was the real Ripper, maybe it was AI, maybe it was somebody else speaking. Like technology, we all live in the age where technology is a living Black Mirror episode. I'm not going to sit here and trust anything I hear somebody say on the phone anymore.
No.
But this voice does sound a lot like the actor Brando Eaton who plays Jonah. I mean, there are videos of that voice compared to his speaking voice back to back. And I will give it to you. It does sound pretty similar.
It absolutely does sound similar. But yes, we are in that age where it could be AI, could be like a voice changer. They've come a long way where they don't sound like, hello, I've got your wife and kids.
Yes.
Like, it's a lot different now. So yeah, they sound similar.
They do. And the other big, I guess, argument you can make for this is just that it's like, okay, the idea of Jonah being the Ripper, it does tie into the idea of resurrection, of people coming back into the world in some way. It ties into this idea of fathers and sons because we have Dexter and Harrison's very different than his dad. It's all kind of ironic in a way, though, because if you think back to the end of the Nebraska episode, one of the reasons why Dexter does not kill Jonah in that moment, and he was haunted at that time by Brian, and this is sort of what gets him over that hump, is this idea of, okay, we did have Jonah take out his mother, but it was for very complicated reasons because of what his sister did to herself and all the trauma that was being laid on his feet. And Dexter realized he has remorse. So he has that revelation then, but then he's all of a sudden going to turn around and become the New York Ripper.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you have these traumatic situations, but yeah, it does kind of undo that whole plot line. But at the same time, I mean, like the traumatic situation could change and change a person. And while
Yeah.
Dexter's thinking the best is going to happen with Jonah, and maybe Jonah was thinking the best was going to happen with Jonah,
Yeah.
it may have just continued to eat away at him and bring him to this different spot where it's not like that at all for him. And another thing that they might be kind of working towards, it's been like rumored for a while now that we're going to have this Trinity Killer spin-off and whatever. If it's Jonah Mitchell who is the New York Ripper, that's a great way for them to be able to introduce this prequel of the whole Trinity Killer, to be like, hey, we have this here and now we have this here.
I will 100% give you that. And that is a big reason for them to at least think about it, plus dive completely into the nostalgia of it all. But as we're going to dive into the many, many reasons now why I don't believe this is Jonah, we have to remember Clyde Phillips effectively left Dexter as the showrunner
Yes.
after season 4, after the Trinity season, which, you know, is a lot of people's favorite season of the show. Like, I will ride for season 2, but I love season 4 as well.
I
Like,
will ride for season 5. It is my favorite Lumen.
I love Lumen too. Like, I still
And
think,
Johnny Lee Miller, man, he was great.
yeah, he was really, really great. And like, you know, Clyde may have sort of had like a tiny bit of involvement at the start of season 5, but he was not really around when the
No.
Nebraska episode happened. So it's just like the question we have to ask ourselves is like, how much does he really care about that arc with Jonah? So like, what is his need or desire to revisit some of that? Because yeah, I know Lumen has been mentioned. I know Hannah had a mention and they showed some like archival footage, but there's other things from those final seasons of Dexter, whether it's like, you know, Dr. Vogel or some of the controversial Deb plots. Like, there's a lot of stuff that he just seems to be, and understandably so, completely forgetting about.
Absolutely. He is really focusing on the things that he had a hand in, which
Yeah.
totally makes sense going into this season. So is he going to want to dive into that whole Jonah Mitchell of it all, since that wasn't something that he was really part of? And the answer is maybe, but it feels to me in my heart of hearts, probably not.
Yeah, and this is where we'll get into some story reasons in a moment, but there's a couple of just meta reasons why I do not believe that Jonah is the Ripper. And it starts with Brando, once again, the actor. He's posted this TikTok over the past several days, and I think this is something where he's probably been getting a lot of questions. I understand it. You know, he's not, you know, this is no offense to him. I think he did a good job in the role, but he's not an A-list star. So this is one of the roles that people remember him most by. So he did this TikTok where he's just like, just got back from New York. What's everyone yelling at me about? And okay, here's the thing. One, it's funny. I will give him credit for that. But number two, if he's the New York Ripper, is he really going to go on and make a TikTok like this?
No, I feel like no. I feel like the show would be really mad about it. To me, that's one of the biggest smoking guns that it's not him, because if he revealed something like that at this point in the show, personally as a fan, I'd be kind of pissed about it. I don't want to know that he's actually the New York Ripper before it's been revealed who it is, if they do reveal who it is.
Yeah, it just feels like there's probably some huge NDA if they've even cast this character yet.
100%.
Like, my tinfoil hat here is that I don't think they've cast him yet. I think this is a character they're setting up to be the big bad in next season. And this leads me into the other meta argument. And this is, once again, Brando, if you're watching, I promise I'm not trying to dogpile you. You seem like a nice enough guy. But it's just that if Dexter is planning to have the Ripper as the season 2 big bad, they're going to want a pretty big name for that part. And I know that occasionally we've had lesser known actors be sort of the bigger adversaries, but we're talking about like the really, really early days of Dexter. You mentioned Johnny Lee Miller. I've mentioned
Yep.
Lithgow. We can
Yep.
talk about Edward James Olmos, Colin Hanks. Like there are a lot of the villains, over the years, Jimmy Smits. Like these
Big
are
names.
big names, established actors, even going all the way into Charlotte Rampling. Like they've always had like pretty familiar people play these roles.
Look at this
I
season. I mean,
know.
it is a star-studded cast.
Yeah, unless the Ripper, we're just totally off and the Ripper is just like not going to be a factor at all, which if that's the case, why are you wasting all this time on
Yeah.
it? It just feels like they are setting up here for something that's going to be a lot more substantial down the road and
Yeah.
probably have a much bigger actor attached to all of it.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah, there is the thematic argument that, okay, this undoes everything with Nebraska, but then beyond all of that, this is where I think we get into the biggest, this like, okay, this doesn't really make a lot of sense timeline-wise argument.
Okay, and we will say that Dexter has been off with a lot of their timelines already. Like
Yes.
Harrison was supposed to be 16 in New Blood, and now it's like he's 18 or he's 19 or he's 20, and only 10 weeks have passed.
Yeah.
And we've also seen that it's supposed to be like, oh, there was like this 15-year difference with Dexter, and then in Original Sin it was like, oh no, now it's like, it's 15 here. He was on the stand, I think it was season 1 episode 2, where Dexter was like, I've actually only been working here for 12 years. And I was like, okay, which is it? Is it 12 years? Is it 15 years? So we do know that they are not very good with their timelines being consistent
Yeah.
on the show.
And I will admit in the midst of all of this that, what I'm talking about here might be so super specific that a lot of people may not even really care that much about it. But it's
I
just like,
care. Let's
I
go.
care too. And I care greatly because, okay, they've showed a newspaper clipping. And if you paused and looked at it this season, they've made it clear now that, okay, the Ripper has not killed in 5 years. And that's the spirit of time in which things have fundamentally changed. And
Yes.
that's pretty important because I think we need to sort of look at, okay, for the Ripper to have changed and had some sort of change of heart, that means they probably...
Or an illness or something has happened to stop them.
Like, that sort of suggests to me that, okay, they were probably doing this for a good while before that because this is an infamous person. You don't become infamous overnight, right?
Yeah, and they killed like over 20 people. Like, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And now we get into Claudette. During her lecture, she indicates that she has been investigating the New York Ripper since she joined the force.
Yes.
And that means, okay, it looks like Claudette is supposed to be, I would guess, somewhere in her 40s.
Agreed.
So that means that, let's just say hypothetically, she joined the NYPD when she was in her 20s. Jonah Mitchell would have been a kid at that point. And
Yes.
just like the timeline there is just completely irresponsible, makes no sense at all. Even
No.
Dexter wouldn't try to swing something like that.
No.
Now, okay, I can already hear some people typing and being like, okay, well, what if Claudette joined the NYPD a little bit later? What if she joined in the 30s? Okay, sure. Perfectly valid. Let's go with that argument for a moment here then. Okay, so then Claudette would have had to go through the academy.
Mhm.
She would have had to then work to become a detective. And, neither Jess or I are in the NYPD. We don't have the inside scoop on this, but it did a little bit of research, guys.
Mhm.
It can take several years for you to go from becoming a street cop to then a detective. And that's with a lot of exemplary work. And I mean, we know Claudette's pretty good at her job, right?
Yeah, so it feels like Claudette has been doing this for quite a while to be this good. Like when
Yeah.
we first saw her in that hotel scene, I mean, she was picking everything up
Yeah.
like she's been doing this for a very long time. Like
Yeah.
it feels like her as a detective. And to be working on such a prestigious case like the
Yes.
New York Ripper, she has to be very good and she has to have a lot of experience behind her to be able to be picking up things as quickly as she is. I don't think she's been a detective for 5 years.
No, it feels to me, this is just theorizing about it, that, okay, maybe she was a street cop for like 5 years and then maybe she's been a detective for 10 years. But the
Right.
idea then that, okay,
And also in the academy.
yeah, that she's been investigating ever since she became a cop, that's like 15 years of time at that point.
Right.
And then that's a timeline where it's very hard to buy into the idea that, okay, we're going to have Jonah go immediately from Kansas, like the very, very second that episode ended, not Kansas, Nebraska, but then go all the way to New York, immediately become the Ripper. And all it's just like, that doesn't even still, that doesn't logically add up.
It doesn't, but like we said, Dexter and their timelines, they don't care.
This is okay. Here's the other thing I
But
care
we
about.
care, so,
I care.
you know.
And I care that Claudette said this. And this is also very important to me. It's that I have been investigating the Ripper since I joined the force, though he does not kill anymore. And like that to me makes it pretty clear that, okay, you were investigating the Ripper for a long time, even before the 5-year period in which he has stopped killing. So
Yeah.
that means even further that, okay, you were digging into this a long time. You had to be at a level where you were authorized to dig into this while he was still killing for a time. And then that brings us once again to a period of at least 10 to 15 years that she has been working on this, which just does not add up to the idea that Jonah would immediately come over and then all of a sudden start doing this.
Yeah, if Dexter's really following the timeline, it can't be Jonah.
It really can't. And yeah, I know production can do whatever they want, but
Of course.
my feeling though still is that they want obviously a big name, but I think beyond all that, they want somebody to be a contemporary of Michael C. Hall's in some way, like somebody who's around the same age that he can kind of go toe to toe with, because I think that's what makes things more exciting. I mean, you look at some of the other, male killers this season already, people like Eric Stone Street, Neil Patrick Harris,
Yep.
Dinklage, like these are all people who are pretty directly contemporaries of him.
Absolutely. And that is one of the things that has made this season a lot more interesting. Like, I know in the past there's a lot with Dexter, even in his later years of killing back on the original show, where there were some mistakes and some things still happen. Like, of course, on Original Sin when he's learning, there's
Yeah.
lots of mistakes. But that's some of what makes it interesting, where we see him get into really hot water, where is he going to actually make it out of this? And how is he going to make it out of this? And there's been a lot less of that this season because he is going up against very seasoned killers. And that's what's made this season so good.
Yeah, I think in the end, maybe some of these clues are meant to make Dexter think a lot about Jonah to some degree,
Yeah.
just because this is something that was clearly weighing on him at the time in which he was in Nebraska. Should he do it? Should he not do it? And he thought that he conquered a little bit of his darkness by not going through all of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And having Trinity's weapon there in Leon's whole museum of atrocities.
Yes.
They want us thinking about it for multiple reasons. One,
Yeah.
so we can have discussions like this, but also two, because this prequel has kind of been floating out there for a while about
Yeah.
the Trinity Killer.
Yeah, I think it's more than fine that they want us to be thinking a lot about it. But I think even as you said, at the very, very start of this video, the biggest reason, despite all of the obvious logical issues that are here, is just that it's very, very coincidental that this character all of a sudden would be the same place as Dexter, and also now being a killer, and also undoing whatever emotional end was there in season 6.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I really do like that emotional end that was there with Jonah, because it does, sort of mirror what's going on with his own son at this point, where, he's a killer and he's killed people and he has this darkness in him, but he is trying to choose a different road.
He is. And so I think that is really important. I hope they don't dig all this back up. And plus, there's a million other Ripper theories to talk about. I know there's a lot of people who still feel like it's Blessing. Maybe it's a new character. Like, we're going to have plenty of time to speculate more about this Ripper, I feel.
Absolutely. And if you want to check out our other video about the Ripper and all the different theories that are out
Yes,
there
yes, yes.
besides just Jonah, we do have that up here at the channel.
All right, well, let's hear from you guys. Do you still think it's possible that Jonah is the New York Ripper? And if so, why? Was it
Yes.
the presentation? Is there some compelling evidence? Or does it not make any sense when you think about how the timeline works with Claudette, her job, when the Ripper stopped killing, and so on? Let us know in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. And if you guys do want to support us further, be sure to join our Patreon. We've got a link in the description. We are covering exclusively there in video form Countdown. Thank you so much for your support. We will see you here next time.